Living on the edge. Living on the edge.
So the world of sailing, as you can see, can be pretty intense, crazy stuff, or it can be relaxed, day sailing, go cruising, whatever. And you can either go cruising or you can compete, and it's in the Olympics, so it's pretty competitive. And it can be either one person on a boat all by yourself, or you can be a whole bunch of people on a boat, part of a team, on a much larger boat, and you can go all over the world and see lots of different stuff. It all depends on what kind of boat you have and what you want to do with your sailing. So one of the boats I'm going to focus on is called the Laser. Now the Laser is pretty simple. It has one sail, it's crewed by one person, it's only about 12.5 feet long, and it's probably my most favorite boat to sail. And the other type of boat we're going to look at is called a Thistle. Now the Thistle represents how most other boats are set up. It has 3 sails and it has multiple crew members, so it makes it a bit more complex than the Laser. So we're going to start by looking at the Laser. Now the Laser is pretty simple. It's got the sail, it's got the hull, and it's got the bow, which is the front, and the stern, which is the back. So now there's the mast and the boom. The mast is the pole in the middle of the boat that holds the sail up, and the boom is a pole that swings across the back of the boat, which is connected to the bottom of the sail, which holds the bottom of the sail, and it goes boom when it hits your head. So now, to control the boat, you have to use the rudder and the tiller. Now the rudder is the blade that sticks down into the water and moves the water to turn the boat. The tiller is a long wooden or metal pole that sticks into the rudder, and that's what you use to control the rudder to turn the boat either way. However, when you're steering the boat doesn't steer like a car, it steers in the opposite direction that you turn the tiller. So if you turn the tiller towards the left, the boat goes to the right. Likewise, if you turn it to the right, the boat goes to the left. So now that you can steer the boat, you have to learn how to control the sail. So you have to use a rope called the main sheet. Now the main sheet is connected to the boom, which is connected to the sail. So let's say your sail is out too far. So you want to pull your sail in or trim it in. So you pull on the main sheet and it brings it in. And if you want to ease the sail out, you just let go of the rope a little bit, the main sheet, and your sail goes out. So basically it's not windsurfing. You're sitting in the boat, you're using the tiller to control your steering, and you're using the main sheet or rope to control your sail. So the Thistle isn't that much different. So you have your main sail, and in the blue you have the foresail or the jib, and that's just a smaller sail up in front that is for larger boats and mainly used for more control. And the third sail is called the spinnaker. Now the spinnaker are those large, pretty, colorful sails that everyone likes to see, and you only put those up when you're going downwind, which I'll explain later, when you're going away from the wind. So that's the third sail. So now that you know the basic controls, now you can learn how to actually sail around. There are basically 3 points of sail. So the red arrows indicate the wind, and when you're going perpendicular to the wind, such as the blue arrows, that means you're reaching across the wind, so your sails are about halfway out. So the next point is called going upwind. So that means you're moving up closer towards the wind, and you're going the direction of the blue arrows, and your sails are in as close as they can get. And the last direction is called going downwind. So that means you're going the direction of the arrows, which is down away from the wind, and your sails are out all the way, and that's when you would put up a spinnaker. So those are basically your 3 points of sail. However, there's one direction you can't go, and that is straight into the wind. So that's called getting in irons, and your sails start luffing, which is when they start flapping back and forth and you just don't go anywhere. So you're not allowed to go in that direction. So now it's time to learn about tacking and jibing. So that's basically turning around while you're sailing. So let's say you're sailing along, here's your little boat, la 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 la, having a good old time, you're going off in this direction, and here's the wind, which is important. So let's say you want to go, and you're going off this way, there's your boat, and you want to go off in this direction. So you would have to turn around, and you would turn your boat this way, and go off in that direction. Don't worry, I have a video, I'm going to look at real example of how to do it. So basically, you're passing the bow of the boat through the wind, your sails luff a little bit, and you go off in the other direction. So that's your basic tacking, and jibing is basically the same thing, except you're going in the other direction and you're going downwind. So we're going to look at this boat tacking. So they're going along, and they turn the boat, the sails luff a little bit, everybody crosses over to the other side, and they keep on sailing. So we're going to look at it one more time. So they're going along, sailing, yeah. They turn the boat, the sails luff a little bit, and they keep sailing on in the other direction. And that's called tacking. So now you can take the skills you've learned and apply them to racing. So there's two types of racing. There's buoy racing and there's offshore racing. Buoy racing is basically when you have a course. So here's your line, here's a mark, and here's the wind. And you have to go around the buoys and follow the course, and you're racing everybody to the finish line. So basically you start off and you tack upwind, and since you can't go into the wind, you have to make zigzags across the course, and that's where your strategy comes in. And then you have to go around the mark, and you have to go down to the other mark, and then you'd have to tack back upwind, so you can't go into the wind, and then you'd finish. So that's your basic buoy racing, and there's a whole bunch of different courses you can do and a whole bunch of different arrangements. So buoy racing basically is when you stay close to shore, smaller boats, bigger boats, doesn't really matter. So offshore racing is different in that it goes longer distances and it goes from place to place and not around a set course. So they usually take longer, and they are usually with bigger boats, usually 25 feet or up. And they can be from like 1 day long to like 3 days long with the Chicago and Port Huron to Mackinac races. So there are your basics about sailing. If you have any questions, ask me. If you want to go sailing, ask me, and I'll do what I can to take you sailing. So thank you for watching.